Okay, so here we go. So today we're going to assemble the rear roller. So I've got everything I need here set out on the bench. There's a couple of items that I like to sort of small assemblies to do first before putting the whole rear roller together. So that being putting our bearings into our bearing holders. We have to assemble the rear drums, so they'll take a piece of PVC pipe and the chariot reel. Once they're assembled, then we can sort of slide everything onto our rear roller shaft. So first things first, I am going to press my rear roller bearings into the bearing housings. Now when you're doing this, you must remember not to forget to put the spring. So one side has a spring. Now this spring goes on the fixed side. So you see on the bearing housings, one bearing housing has slots and then one does not. So the one without slots is the fixed side. So the fixed side is the chain side. So basically when you put your mower together, you want that side of your rear roller to stay in that position for the life of the mower, and then the other side is adjustable, so you can actually adjust your rear roller up or down to level that with the front roller. But when installing your bearing, do not forget to place your spring inside the fixed bearing, so the one with the 3 holes, before pressing your bearing in. If you do that, you'll have to take your bearing back out, put your spring in and start again. So I'm going to quickly press them in. I don't have anything fancy to press them in with. I simply just use my vise on the end of the bench. I sort of just tap it in to get it straight and then clamp it in the vise, and as I clamp it together, the vise pulls the bearing into the bearing housing. Okay, so now we have our bearings pressed into our bearing housings. They're spinning freely. If you didn't see, but I also used a socket. Now this socket is the same size as the inner diameter on the inner race there. So I line that up there and I squish that with the vise. So what that does is basically, because the vise is long, what that tends to do is squish the bearing housing instead of the bearing itself. So to apply pressure directly to the bearing, I just used a socket out of my socket set. So handy little trick, but you'll see it doesn't take much. You don't need to squish it too much. If you squish it too much, you're going to have problems with squishing the end of your bearing housing. So just be very careful doing that. You don't want to do that. So next up, we'll go on to assembling the rear drums. Once we've got them assembled, we can continue to build. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our rear rollers together now. One thing that I should mention, so this is a 17-inch model. Now the 17-inch model does not have a weight in the rear roller. So on a 14 and a 20-inch roller, you'll have a weight. So don't forget to put the weight in one side. And then when you assemble your roller, it's crucial to put that weight in the correct position. So that's the non-drive side, which is underneath the motor. So I don't need to do that because I'm doing a 17-inch model. But if you're doing a 14 or a 20, just keep that in mind. Okay, so I've got the rear drums assembled. Now, when I was putting those stainless steel bolts in, so when you install stainless steel stuff, I highly recommend just putting a small dab of grease or anti-seize. With the nut and bolt kits that I am getting, it comes with a small tub of what they call moly grease. So that's basically just an anti-seize. Stainless steel is very known for binding up and making it incredibly difficult to remove if you need to. So a small dab of moly grease will sort that issue out and you won't have any problems. So next step, what we're going to do is we're going to slide our rear drums onto our shaft. Now once we've got it on the shaft, we'll put our locking collars on and that should hold the mower rear roller all together. So one small thing to note when I'm doing this, so your rear roller paws, now do not put any grease or lubricant on these. What that does will, when you're mowing it, it tends to get all the dirt and the grass clippings and everything tend to stick to it. And what that does is prevents these from operating correctly. So these are designed to fall up and down, and if you paint them, even if you paint them, it just becomes a little bit sticky and they don't operate correctly. So I don't paint them and I don't put any grease on them, and I just make sure they're dirt free when installing them. And one other item to take note is your paw will have a divot on one side and the other side does not have a divot. So when you're installing these, make sure that the divot is facing inwards, and that's how they get installed correctly. So watch along, we'll do that. Okay, so you can see I've slipped the rear roller collars on. So those collars hold the drums together, prevents them sliding up and down on the shaft and coming off. So they've got a nut up here, so that is a locking nut. So make sure you tighten that up. That'll prevent that grub screw coming loose, because once you install that on your mower, it's incredibly difficult to access that bolt. So make sure that nut is zipped up nice and tight so the bolt doesn't come loose. And last but not least, we just need to install our rear roller bearing housings. Now remember that the 3 fixed holes is the drive side, so that's the side with the chains, and then the side with the 2 oval shapes, that's the side that is allowed to be adjusted. Now that is the non-drive side, so that goes underneath the motor. So these will slip onto the shaft like so. I'm not currently going to press that on just yet, but I'll simply tap that on with a socket over the shaft, give it a tap, that'll slide up nicely, and there we are. So the reason I'm not putting that on just yet is because when I installed, once I've just installed this rear roller, I've just realised that one of my rear roller bushes, so there's 2 brass bushes, so one of those has worn itself to the point of no return. So I'm going to now have to pull this apart, replace those bushes, and then put it back together. So once I put it back together, I will definitely push the bearings on the shaft, and that's it. So that's it for this video. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment, ask some questions. I'm pretty active on Facebook, so if you want to look up SB Renos on Facebook, I'd love if you could give me a follow as well. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.